Okay, what I wanted to show tonight is what happens when you put an impact wrench on something and pull the trigger and you got it set to turn the wrong way. And so what I did is I was changing the blade on this edger, and I mashed my impact wrench the way you normally unscrew a bolt, put it on here, and all I got was the head. And the reason for that is because I turned it the wrong way. This is a left-hand thread, and I had my brain in neutral, didn't normally think about that. And so the first thing is anytime you're working on a cutting tool, and so this would apply. Bench grinders is a common place where you see a left-hand bolt. A lot of table saws, you see a left-hand bolt on the blade. Sometimes on chop saws. And so anytime you've got a blade and you've got a bolt holding on a shaft, the simple thing is look and see which way it cuts. And so if I look at this blade, I can see that this was the cutting edge, this is the trailing edge. I'll zoom in so we can see that a little bit better. But you can see that this edge is what's been doing the cutting. This edge up here is the trailing edge. And so I should have put a wrench on here that would have turned this way, which would normally tighten the bolt. But in this situation, it would have loosened the bolt and I wouldn't have the bolt broke off down the hole like you can see right there. So now we've got to get that out. So there's 2 or 3 options for trying to do that. One thing that I've done a lot of times is just use a simple cold chisel. And so if we focus on the hole, and sometimes you can turn a cold chisel up and you can get it started right here on the edge, tap it, and you can get the bolt to unscrew. Cold chisel edge doesn't work perfect. I've done it a lot sometimes when that's the only thing I had available easily. It works, but you can improve that a little bit if you use what's referred to as a keep chisel. And if we get the focus on that, you can see that that's kind of it's a diamond point, and a lot of times you can get one of those sharp edges stuck on the a corner of the bolt, and you can tap it and get it to unscrew. And this method with tapping the chisel works a lot of times, and that absolutely I'm going to try that to start with before I do anything else. If you checking to see if we're focused good, if you go to a drill, there's several bad things can happen. The biggest problem you have with a drill is when you put the drill up here to try to drill, most of the time you're gonna go off axis, and you're gonna ruin the threads in the hole in the process, because it's nearly impossible to get this drill started straight. And so a couple of things. One, you could use a center punch to improve your luck on trying to get the drill started in the center of the hole. 2, if you can make some kind of jig to force that drill to be in the exact right spot, that will greatly improve your luck. And that's what I did in this situation. So if we take all the hardware off, you can see that we just simply got a shaft here. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to make some way to force that drill bit to go right down the center of the hole. What I did is I took a scrap piece of steel and just simply drilled a hole in it that is the drill bit that I'm going to use to drill out the bolt. But that brings up the question, what size drill bit do I need if this is the size bolt that goes down the hole, what size drill bit do I need to be able to drill that out? And so you can eyeball it, or if you have a pair of calipers, you can put calipers on it and measure it. And so if we zoom in and look and see what the caliper's telling us, it's telling us that the root diameter is about 2.75 inches, or 0.275 inches. Let me say that correctly. And so I want to be sure when I pull out a drill bit that I find one that is a little bit smaller than that. This one is about 20 thousandths smaller or so than what that root diameter is. Next, I need some way to force this template to align, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole halfway through my chunk of steel so that it'll just fit over the shaft. And if I go look at my shaft, and first off trying to figure out if I'm standard or metric or what the situation is right here, if I look at the bolt head, and again we'll zoom in close and look at him, and you can see it says 10.9 on that bolt head, which tells us that it's a metric bolt, which means that this shaft is also going to be a metric shaft. And if I measure the shaft and put my calipers on it, and it looks like it measures 0.590 inches. And if I come over and look at a table that compares inches to millimeters, and look at my table, there's my 0.590 inches, and it says that's a 15 millimeter shaft. I don't have a metric 15 millimeter bit. I've got a 13/64, and it's telling me that 13/64 bit is 0.578, or 12 thousandths smaller than the shaft. The next size SAE bit would be a 19/32, of which I don't have anyway, but it would be just a touch too large and would sit loose on the shaft. So what I did is when I drilled the hole, I drilled that with 39/64, just like or 37/64 that we saw on the chart, and it's going to be small. So then I took my band or hacksaw and cut me a slot so that it would allow me then, if I drive a wedge in that slot, I can expand this hole so that it expands out enough that it'll fit over the shaft. And so that's what we'll do. I just take a plain screwdriver, tap it in a little bit, get another screwdriver, tap those in. Now I've spread that apart just a little bit. It just nearly fits on. Give it a tap or two. It's on secure. I look to see if everything is lined up nice and straight. Now I'm ready to drill, and so I'm going to be sure I've got this at a little bit of an angle in the vise so that you can see it better. But I'm going to flip this up, get it nice and flat, and really focus on trying to get this drilled 90 degrees to this scrap piece of metal that's my template. But this will greatly improve my luck on being able to go straight down the center of that bolt without hurting anything. Next, the type of drill we use is real important. This is a left-hand thread, so any standard drill bit works. And so whatever you've got in your drill bit collection is going to be the right kind of bit. But most of the time, 98% of the time, you're going to break off a normal bolt that's got right hand threads. And so then you need a drill that turns backward, a left hand drill that's not readily available. And it might be a good idea if you're doing much mechanic work to just go ahead and get 3 or 4 the sizes you would be likely to use in the event, because sooner or later you will break off a bolt. So in this situation, it's just going to turn the normal direction. I can put on here, and interestingly, this drill bit gets a good grip, and it will grab the bolt, and it moved it enough that now I can see a little bit more sticking up. I can take my chisel, and since it's stuck up a little bit more, tap it a little bit more. It was pretty loose, and so I lucked out on this one. This one's not rusty or any problem. It just simply broke because I turned it the wrong way. And I've got my broken bolt removed, and I didn't damage the threads in the process. But the key takeaway thing is, number one, when you've got a broken bolt, try a chisel to start with. Don't use the drill first thing. Number two, if you got to use a drill, and every situation is going to be different. If you can build some kind of template, if you're in a larger casting, you might be able to make a template and bolt it in a couple of other places so that it forces it to sit in the right spot. But generally, it's worth the 15 or 20 minutes it may take messing around to make a template versus destroying the hole, because in this situation I'd pretty well ruined most of the edger, and I have no idea what this part would be. This end of the shaft would be on some kind of pinion gear, and I'm probably looking at that easily could be $100 part I would ruin. And so it's definitely worth my time to take a little bit of care and try not to ruin that thread before I make a bigger mess than what I already did. So at any rate, that's what I wanted to show. And the simple thing is, pay attention to which way bolt's unscrewed, turn it right in the first place, and then you don't have to be as proficient at getting broken bolts out of a hole. Good luck.